Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here. Happy Monday to you and your family. Hope you're having an amazing day. Obviously looking here at Dogecoin once more, helping understand, if at all possible, the best practice and big picture. I do recommend watching videos all the way through if you want to learn as much as you can. Feel free to fast forward to the end, but honestly, I just kind of sprinkle in the answers all the way throughout the videos, and there's no definitive direction of where it's going to go half the time. It's just understanding the probability of statistics and just generally giving favorable odds in either direction. That being said, I want to also let you know too, if you're essentially been following me for a while, currently community members, pretty much I mainly mention this for my community members. I will be out of town for the next 6 days. I'll be traveling to London for Token 2049, and essentially it's a cryptocurrency event. I'll be trying to post as much as possible on social media to kind of keep you abreast, but for the most part, you'll probably see less videos this week than usual based on the simple fact that I'll be traveling and I may not have as much availability. So just know that, please understand. And also, if you're new to the channel, not a financial advisor, love to teach people to trade. I've got a trading academy, community, and signal group. I send out signals regularly. The most recent signal on 11.5 was Solana. We took in 2 hours, 58% profit. And just prior to that, we also took some monster profits from Bitcoin in 2 days, 65%. And of course, Ethereum right there at about 83% in roughly 2 trading days. So again, really awesome stuff. And I just got amazing community members. If you want to learn and grow together, fantastic position to get into. And it's really one of those things that kind of surprised me too, just how well people are doing when we all kind of come together and band together and grow. So again, I've got Trading Academy videos too you want to watch. I'm also partnered with Bitget, which is the best exchange in my personal opinion. Very smooth, very fast, super easy to use. King's Cup Global Invitation is presently being registered. Let's go ahead and refresh here and you'll see that we are looking at, what is it? Right here for home, we're looking at 10/28 to 11/20 for the registration period. So we've got another roughly 2 weeks to register, but at this point I think we have 9 team members and we need 11 to qualify. So again, to my community members, if you're not currently registered, use the link that I provided in the community, and of course go ahead and register. And if you want information on this yourself, feel free to let me know. I'll be happy to get you registered there. All right, so here's where we're at with Dogecoin. As we mentioned yesterday, or as I was talking yesterday, we had strong inclinations for the price to go down. It went down, no surprise. How much lower is it going to go, though? That's obviously the question at hand. I get that question a lot, and we're going to try to find that out. Now, again, there's no guarantees here, but it does still look like, since we are on a descending trend here and we haven't retested that level, we're still likely to see further downside. And what I did is I reversed Fibonacci retracement levels, by the way, just so you can kind of get perspective on roughly what direction it's heading. So just keep that in mind. That's roughly what we're looking at here. So hypothetically, according to the current Fibonacci retracement levels, 10.4 cents would be the next support. What we want to do is look back a little bit here and see there should be, actually, let's go ahead and go with the big picture. So if I recall correctly, there's this key level previous resistance, which should be a new support level here. And then we also have the most recent support, which was the lowest point in which the price went before it broke to the downside. And that puts us really, really close to where we're currently at for the price action. So as we can see, we are absolutely really close to that level. So in other words, right there at about 11, it's basically 11.1, but we could round down to say 11 cents even, is somewhat of a support range. Now, again, I say range because 11 to 11.6 is essentially this area in which the price could consolidate before it legs up, because it is common for patterns like this to break to the upside. In other words, when you see an ascending type of pattern, it comes up, works itself into a wedge, it does break upwards typically. These are usually bullish type of signs, but we can't go on that yet until we break this trend line, okay? Because again, we keep getting rejected at these levels here. If we get rejected again, we can expect further downside. So again, it's a little premature in my personal opinion. Again, I'm always all about waiting for confirmation. I teach this in my academy. Hopefully everyone in the community understands this by now. You want to be cautious and careful and wait for the price to confirm its direction instead of trying to buy the bottom and buy the dip. There's nothing wrong with adding to your position as the price goes lower if you're just long-term holding. But if you're constantly adding to your position to try to save it from leverage, and you are essentially in a position where you're going to get liquidated because of it, you're not trading correctly. Always want to use a low position size and preferably low margin too. Regardless of that fact, where we're at right now, we want to kind of pay attention to how this is going to transition by waiting for confirmation above the actual descending trend. And I'm willing to speculate that when we break above the trend, we're going to be above the Ichimoku cloud as well on the 1 hour too. Those things typically speak concurrently with each other. So let's go ahead and just take a look at everything. Enough preface here, help you understand kind of where we're at. So we're under 70 on the RSI. This is something to recognize that's going to tentatively work as a resistance level. Now, when it comes to being above or below 70 on the RSI, typically when you're above, it's considered overextended. But on the same accord, you can stay above for a very long time. And once you break below, that's when it's considered more bearish. I know you're trying to thinking to yourself, well, we're over 50 on the RSI. Why is it bearish? Well, you got to think about where it's come from, right? I mean, we had a parabolic increase as per usual, which I don't love, 150% roughly. I know it's plus or minus a little bit, but we have about 150% gain. And so far, the amount of profits that have been taken from the top is only 30%. So when you think about that, I mean, there's still a lot of meat left on the bone, and it makes a lot of sense for the price to want to pull back even further. When you look at this here as well, we can see the MACD is still diverging. We haven't officially had a divergence, but it certainly looks like it wants to do that. So unless we get a bounce here in the next 24 to 48 hours, we should expect the price to continue lower. That being said, of course, I know it seems fairly redundant. We're still above some key level supports, and that's a positive sign here, but once again, at this level of 11 to 11.6, still not fantastic, okay? I don't love what I see here. So again, just generally speaking, I would avoid trading this for the moment. If you're the gambling type, I would say a long might be slightly more viable based on the simple fact that we have this is a very nice type of pattern. Oftentimes they break to the upside based on the kind of consolidation efforts and the way that it goes. It makes lower lows, lower highs, then eventually breaks out. So again, that could very well be a probability, but I think it's like at this point, just based on what we've seen so far, 60% likelihood of upside. Let's take a look at some moving averages. They are averaging yourself up. Those are not relevant just yet. I think on the 4 hour they will be though. We're underneath both the 20 and the 50, but above the 200. 200 is my most enjoyable or liked moving average on the 4 hours. So if you see this here, it's working its way up. It's going to inevitably be right at that 8.6 cent range, which is essentially that long-term big picture that we were looking at, right? So again, that was that shelf that we had quite a while ago. I think it was late last year, and really couldn't get past that point, and then it broke out and went crazy from there. That said, looking at the 4 hour here, let's go ahead and take a look at some other standard stuff. We are bearish on the midterm. In other words, the 4 hour time frame is basically telling us that we are underneath 50 on the RSI. It definitively broke below. We can also see the MACD is still diverging, but it's starting to lose its momentum. So we could very well see a convergence potentially in the next couple of days. I would say pay attention to Dogecoin over the next 24 to 48 hours, kind of see what this looks like. So if we start with a convergence here on the MACD, and then we're concurrently above the descending trend, which is a common characteristic when you see that breakthrough. And then alternatively, if we take a look here at the 1 hour Ichimoku cloud, if you see, the lower lead is working itself right along there. So again, hypothetically, the price comes up here, works itself into the cloud. We still haven't broken bullish yet. We want to wait for the confirmation at least 2 or 3 hours above the cloud, and that's what we want to look for. And what that'll coincidentally do is that'll have us at the 4 hour MACD also swinging in an upward fashion, and we'd also be above this descending trend. So a lot of what we see here so far is based on this descending pattern of lower highs and lower lows. We need to establish higher lows first in order to break this trend. So hypothetically, we are on target for that. So far, it's very premature, but we have a higher low so far printing on the 1 hour. Again, extremely early, and I do not recommend trading into this, at least until we get confirmation, but you can see here that if you have a short position, you may want to consider closing it in the next 6 to 12 hours roughly, in order to avoid potential of turnaround, because it is losing its momentum, even though the conversion line is below the baseline. We still have that lagging span telling us that we're going to intersect with the price action soon, and that's typically a sign to go ahead and trim or close your position if you are moving in the short direction. Okay, so ultimately, Dogecoin isn't in dire straits by any stretch, but you got to recognize that there's not a tremendous amount of volume in this range here. I mean, it's a pretty big shelf. And in order to fill this gap, we could very well see the price action come lower. But once again, we need to wait for confirmation and find out. There's really no sense in taking a trade right now. Okay, so again, take it from me. I can assure you that after the last 17 years of trading, I've learned a lot about what not to do. And I recommend not taking a trade right now, just based on the simple fact that it hasn't given us confirmation it wants to continue in either direction yet. Truth is, everything we see here is bearish, with the exception of a nice pattern, or just say, it is essentially, I mean, it's somewhat of a bull pennant pattern, okay? Because again, it comes up, and you have this type of pennant, and oftentimes they break upwards, essentially in that regard. So we could very well see that. But minus that one factor, we don't have confirmation above the cloud. We don't have a convergence just yet. We're below 50 in the RSI on the 4 hour, which again is a midterm. That essentially tells us the momentum shift from 1 hour to 1 day. And if we look at the daily here, we are under 70, but we still have plenty of room for downside. I mean, you think about how much lower we could possibly go over the next couple of weeks. It's absolutely realistic, okay? We could very well come down. So to me personally, the way that I see things here, I'm slightly more bearish than bullish at the moment, but we're at this determining factor here. In the next 24 to 40 hours, we should have a definitive sign telling us which direction it's going to want to head. All right, so again, that's how technical analysis is. You truly never have a definitive direction one way or the other. It could be 90% or 10%, in one way or the other, but at this point, I mean, it's almost fairly even depending on how you look at it. So it really just depends on if you favor, these type of patterns, or if you prefer, traditional indicators that are telling us that we are pushing to the downside. One last thing I want to kind of touch on, and I didn't look at this yet, is overextension. If we have them, we did come down to a 9 recently. We're getting consolidation here on the 1 hour that is slightly positive in the sense that we might see an increase. But if we take a look at the 4 hour, we've gotten some nice healthy consolidation resets, and we're down to a 5 and possibly getting another reset as well. So in truth, it could still go either way. All right. So again, nothing super special there in that sense. So to me at this point, really bumper sticker here is wait for confirmation. Simply put, that is exactly what you want to do at this point. We want to break above either A, the cloud, or B, the descending trend. That to me is the most important aspect of going long. Otherwise, maintain your short position for at least another 6 to 12 hours. I hope you had learned something here today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want to become a better trader, cryptocash.tech is a site. Link down below. Be sure you register for Bitget so you can be eligible for all those different prize pools. Typically every month we have a $10,000 prize pool, but right now it's that King's Cup Global Initiative, or invitation rather. Check that out in your own time. Again, links in the description below. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.